legislature to order, and I would ask Mayor to stand and lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask you to stand for a moment of silence for our current and past veterans. Thank you. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Hartman.
Here.
Rose. Here. Schrader.
Here.
Manine. Here. Johnson.
Here.
Hendricks.
Here.
Hyde.
Here.
Krasinski.
Here.
Mano.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Bono.
Here.
Ackerman.
Here.
Kaplinski. Horse.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Shaw.
Here.
Weekly.
Here.
16.
16 present. Pursuant to Rule 8, are there any objections or corrections for the minutes on April 4th, 2012? If there are none, I'll order them approved. Reading in full of claims disallowed by the auditor and presented by audit by the legislature. Nothing on the desk. I'll now dispense with the regular session to allow for presentation by Herkimer County Community College Board of Trustees. Mrs. Clark, come up. Is there anyone else? Dr. Murray?
Here she is. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving us your time and attention. I probably am a little too long-winded, so I'll try and stick to my script, but it's a great privilege to be here tonight to speak with you. Thank you for your time. The last time we were in the chambers together, I pointed out my father's picture. My name is Mary Ellen Clark. I'm the secretary to the board. I work with Anna Marie. I am also the school nurse here at Herkimer High School. I work with some of your county employees on a fairly regular basis. And my father's picture is here up until 1986. As many of you know, we lost my dad in 1987, so it's a real treat to be here with you tonight. I remember one of the things he said that he enjoyed most about being a county legislator is the good stuff. Sometimes you only hear the bad stuff. Bad stuff gets in the paper. Good stuff is when you get to take care of somebody who calls you in the middle of the night, somebody who needs help with a situation that you can put your hands on and do the work for, and I have some good stuff to talk about tonight. In my capacity as a nurse at Herkimer High School, I get emails and updates about all kinds of public health issues from Dr. O'Keefe. Everything from the current viruses and rabies and how the kids are using bath salts to wonderful things about recognizing Herkimer County for its national role. And so, in doing so, I get the email, and attached to it is this clip of the agencies in the top 10 in the country, and they're big cities. It says like Seattle and Los Angeles and then and the other 9 names, and it really knocked my socks off. So I knew about this at work before I knew about it publicly, and I'm very honored to be here tonight to present you this. In recognition of Herkimer County and James Wallace. The total number of children in foster care in Herkimer County fell from a high of 138 in May of 2003 to 64 in December of 2011, which is the lowest in-care number recorded in the past 20 years. The county reduced juvenile placements in residential facilities, resulting in savings of approximately $2 million. The resolution is as follows. Whereas the White House Council for Community Solutions, working with the Bridge Span program, has identified 12 exemplary counties which have achieved needle-moving change and are making further strides in solving critical issues. And whereas the case study report on Herkimer County highlights the accomplishments made in reducing the number of children in foster care. And whereas Herkimer County has been identified as one of 12 communities across the United States with a successful collaborative planning initiative which has made a positive impact on the community. And whereas Herkimer County has worked with DSS, Kids Herkimer, the Family Support PINS Diversion Program, and other partners in developing successful efforts to improve the lives of at-risk children. And whereas County Administrator James Wallace was instrumental in achieving this national recognition for Herkimer County. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Herkimer County Community College commends and congratulates Herkimer County and its County Administrator, Mr. James Wallace, on being recognized by the White House Council for Community Solutions.
I'd like to ask Jim Wallace to come up here. This is in part because of, actually because of him that we got this award. Great honor for the county. We're very pleased with it. And again, it was a collaborative effort, not just one entity or one department, but this man right here drove it from the beginning. He saw it way back. Went to the county legislature and said, hey, listen, we really need to do this. These numbers are up there, you know, with our foster kids, and because of the program now, those numbers have dropped in half. And again, not just Jim, but a team effort from the courts, from the Department of Social Services, from Darlene downstairs, our planning department, the sheriff, law enforcement, schools.
Again, just this is really a team effort for the county. This is stuff we've been doing for 30 years. We meet on a monthly basis between all the department heads. And we're losing somebody today that we're going to miss. Mary's been with me for 32 years. We were chasing this in 1979 from the Council on Children and Family. Talked to them. That had gone away. We stayed with it. All our department heads, Ed Scudder with mental health, Kat Fuller and Tim Seymour with social services, Darlene Hammond, Tina Giacovelli, or give me a few more names. Dr. O'Keefe, Sandy Jones, Karen Zupko. Really a team effort within the county. The sheriff's with us. It's a team effort. Probation, Josephine Sohn. But then we have the schools with us on a regular basis. We have the head of BOCES with us on a regular basis. We have the college with us in our youth violence prevention programs. We have all law enforcement. Basically, as Mr. Bono said, it's really a team effort. This is, and first and foremost, I know Jim yells at me all the time. We were given a grant, one of I think 6 or 8 back in 1998. We're the only county in New York State that stuck with this, and that's a tremendous tribute to the county legislature. You know, you guys don't get a lot of accolades, but in my heart, your support for the program, staying with us. And then our partners, Berkshire Farm, CLFR, you know, the outside agencies that we've partnered with over the last 10, 20 years. Tremendous help to us. You know, it's not one thing, it's a group effort, it's been a great effort. The recognition, as Mary Ellen said, you know, when you see, you know, Atlanta, Chicago, LA, Joaquin Valley, Herkimer County, I mean, that says a lot. That's something for the county to be very proud about. And it's not one person, it's an entire team effort from the legislature all the way down. And you guys really, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Now we'll move to resident comments. I ask that you hold your comments to 5 minutes. Keep it personal, no personal attacks, civil, and we have a total period of 30 minutes, and we do have people signed up. First, I'd like to call Barbara Wainwright from Hillside Drive Alien, and her subject matter is the Herkimer County Humane Society Boosters, I believe?
Yes. Yeah. I want to address all of you. Thank you for being here and the Concerned Citizen Group. I am a member, I was a member of the Herkimer County Humane Society Booster Group. We have been disbanded. I'm sure you probably have seen it in the paper. A lot of false, trumped-up allegations have been put out to the press. I did go in front of the board a couple weeks ago, and I addressed every one of the trumped-up false accusations. I have a lot of issues. I was on the board. I couldn't deal with the board. First of all, the board is supposed to consist of 11 members as per their bylaws. They currently either have 5 or 6. I heard the 6th one resign, leaving 5. That makes also either 10 or 11 board resignations in 2.5 years. That's a symptom of an issue. I find myself, when I was on the board, I think that they operate in, they're contrary to a lot of their bylaws. This should be looked up. For example, inappropriate billing not being done, let go, make excuses for months and months and months, costing the Humane Society $9,000 from the village or the city of Little Falls alone. Dennis Corse's wife fills in for Jody Flo, her sister, the secretary, while Jody's gone all winter. I don't know if this is legal. I doubt it. I don't know if in executive session they should be taking all the board of the votes, not letting other people vote on any sensitive issue. I think this is contrary. I would like to tell you the reasons why we're disbanded. I'll give you just a few. I do have information I'd like to hand out. I'd like people to be aware. They claimed that we didn't hand in the money for an event that I chaired. It was our third year with the annual Cabin Fever Party. First year, I raised $2,000. Second year, $1,700. This year, $8,036. We handed them. We have been told by the treasurer to deposit the money. She doesn't want to count the money in the change. Put it in her checking account, give them a check. We've been told this. We've done this for 3 years. Sometimes we turn money in every other week. We've done this repeatedly. Now I give them $8,036 and they have an issue and they try to look like I've committed something wrong and fraudulent with the money. Wrong. I gave it to them as soon as I could. They said we didn't turn the money in a timely fashion. We've operated with no policy and procedure manual ever. We've never had instruction. We had the event Sunday. I went to the bank Wednesday. As Monday and Tuesday, I counted the money. $8,036 is a lot of money. Counted the money. I had to call people that won raffle baskets, make arrangements to deliver them. I also, one of my friends that helped me with the carpentry business burnt to the ground Tuesday. I was busy with that. Wednesday, went to the bank, deposited the money, called our liaison and our president, booster president, told her I had the check at my house. She was between the cardiologist's office and the ER, stress-related issues that week. She called me Thursday, said take the check to the shelter. I babysat that dad, took it over Friday. We have been instructed to never contact the board for any reasons else. I didn't call them and tell them how much money there was. I'm instructed never to talk to them or call them. I didn't do it. I'm asking, please, for the legislature to get involved. This shelter needs us. They need help. They need the money we raise. They need our adoption rates. We take these animals out sometimes every other weekend. We find them homes. It costs almost $4,000 to house a dog at the shelter for a year. We move those animals. We help them. We're heartbroken. We love the staff. The staff loves us. We love the animals. Help us, please. Perhaps Ms. Rose would consider taking this on. Perhaps Mr. Schrader would. Perhaps Dennis Corse. Somebody get involved and help. We have information. We have documentation. We'd love to share it with you. Thank you.
Let's call John Wainwright, also concerns of the Humane Society.
Okay, can you use the podium?
Sure.
Yes. Well, you should read my notes. Get older, you know. Thank you for allowing me to address the legislature regarding my concerns related to the board of directors. I think more specifically the executive board of the Herkimer County Humane Society. I'm here as a concerned citizen. I'm not a booster. Never have been. My wife, however, has been a booster for several years and has been on the board and resigned several years ago. I'm here because I do have a great concern for what's been going on at the shelter in the last few years. And actually, as we speak, our grandson is having an emergency appendectomy at Cooperstown right now. So I didn't feel this was important, we'd be in Cooperstown. Just a little bit about my background. I don't have 5 minutes. I have several things I want to cover. Right now, I'm on the board of directors for a statewide nonprofit organization. I have been for many years. I spent 35 years at the Department of Environmental Conservation. 26 of those years were in administrative law enforcement. When I retired several years ago, I was hired by EPA to give training across the country to investigators who investigate environmental type spills and hazardous substance abuses. So I have a basic feel for dealing with facts, and that's what I want to bring to light this evening. These aren't just allegations that pop up. These are things that you have to think about that are actual facts that I've put together over about the last week and a half. I've had an opportunity to observe and listen to concerns from many ex-board members, boosters, citizens, and other volunteers in the Humane Society during the past 3 years. And based on my background of dealing with facts, not emotions, find various flaws in the present executive board members and how they function. At the recent public meeting, I noted these facts. Mr. Korsh, the legislative assigned member of this board, stated that the present board was very functional and accomplished. I asked that if the present board of directors and executive board was successful and functional, then why had 10 board members resigned during the past 2.5 years? And actually at the meeting, I believe one other board member did resign at that time. The primary reason listed on the motion from the executive board to disband the Boosters Club related to mishandling funds raised at the cabin fever party, a booster function. I asked the board of directors add an official policy and procedure for handling funds for both board-sponsored fundraising events and for booster fundraisers, and had this document been supplied to boosters. No such document could be produced at that time, but I'm not sure if there is such a document. Along with that, and I just dug into this today because of my background, I found that several weeks prior to this event, 1 or 2 board members who had since resigned from the board told the boosters that the executive board planned on getting rid of the boosters following the event. Now, how would the executive board know that the money would be so-called mishandled? And if they did know, why didn't they supply the boosters with proper procedures prior to the event? Only one conclusion. They wanted to disband the boosters way before the event took place. Why? Only they can say. One thing that I might shed light on is the boosters were reprimanded before the event by one board member for making it too big. I believe the quote was, "Who gave you permission to make it so big?" I believe the executive board must have felt threatened due to the fact that the boosters were gaining popularity, that the boosters events were getting so successful that they would overshadow board-sponsored events. You call this a responsible and well-functioning board. Another fact that raised issue with me was that the president of the board did not preside over the meeting. No introductions of the board were made. No opening statement was made by the president. In fact, the president didn't say a thing about this. My many years of experience being on boards, chairing state committees, or as a commissioner on the Ilion Marina Commission, I have never been to such public meetings where the president or chair did not run the meeting. I was to find out recently, and actually this morning, that this is inconsistent with the society's bylaws, which under duties of the president, section 3, paragraph A, states, the president's duties shall be as follows. Plan for and preside over all board of directors meetings and all special and executive meetings. And I would assume the meeting of 2 weeks ago would go under the definition of special. At the meeting, I asked if someone was taking official notes and was directed to a non-board member who was responsible for keeping an official record of the proceedings. At that point, I'd asked if I could obtain a copy of the society's bylaws and asked for my request to be entered into the record. I was told that I would be sent a copy.
Mr. Wainwright?
Yeah.
You're over your limit.
Can
Are you almost done?
I'm almost done. I got one paragraph. I'll quick it.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, I never received the document. Then closed it in the amendment. So why bring this to your attention? I think this is the important part of being here. The Humane Society's bylaws allow the board to dismiss directors as follows. A director may be removed from office for cause any time after 2/3 vote of the board. That means that there are only 6 members of the 11-member board serving at this time, and I believe that is the case now, or at least maybe one less, that the 4 core executives could control who serves on the board. Only exception being, and this is where you come in the county legislature, the only exception being the board member assigned by the county legislature. That member can only be replaced if there are no longer a legislator, resign or replaced by the county legislature. It seems prudent that you, our legislators, consider replacing your present assigned board members. Mr. Corse, who has served for many years and I'm sure has helped manage the society in a prudent way in the past, needs to be replaced with a person with fresh views, new ideas, and more importantly, and someone who understands that these types of organizations often live or die by the dedicated help of volunteers. In my opinion, if change is not made to the board, the sheltering the animals that we all care so much about are rejected. Thank you.
Junior, step up, please. And also his topic is the Humane Society.
Well, I don't need the podium, but I'll stand up there anyways. My name's Ed View. I'm the former president of the Humane Society and 3-year member of the Boosters. They have this core of people, what she explained, which is the executive board. And they run the whole thing. And if you don't do what they want you to do, they're going to eliminate you, one way or the other. And these people are all hard workers. Mr. Corse and all the people that are on this executive board are terrific people, very hard workers. But it's not a good situation to have family, 2 people of the same family on the same board. It never will be. And I think the world of these people, but they're cutting off their nose to spite their face. When they get rid of somebody that raises like $8,000 for an organization, there's something array. And I don't know who is the governing power over the Humane Society, but I do know that changes have to be made, and they have to be made quickly, because there's people in the village and all around the county that think the Humane Society is going under. It's not going under. It'll always be there. The people love the Humane Society. I love the Humane Society. All those people back there do, and I'm sure all you people do. But as a past president and a person that loves the Humane Society, I say that something's got to be done, and it's got to be done fast, because there's people there that are there for their own reasons. And I don't know if you guys are the governing body over the Humane Society. I don't know who it is, but something's got to change. It's got to change fast. You got to let the people know that we need their support. Because every person in here probably has a dog or a cat. And a lot of dogs and cats go out of there. And it's up to us to make sure that the Humane Society is known as a solvent place and a good place to take your animals and a good place to adopt animals. And that's all I've got to say. I'm short and sweet, but I get to the point, and I just hope to God and pray to God that this resolves itself. Thank you.
Let's call upon Rob Drumm from Mohawk. His thought. Subject matter is year-end recap.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the legislature. To change Mark Anthony's quote, saying, for the next 5 minutes, friends, Roman, countymen, lend me your ears. This meeting for me marks 1 year that I have been attending your meetings, and if I may be so bold, I have a few thoughts and comments I'd like to share with you. First and foremost, saying you are only strong as your weakest link comes to mind. In life, we have situations where weak links in our chain need to be made stronger, so that the task at hand can be completed. In the case from what I have seen over the past year, weak links of this legislature have been internally created. By weak links, I mean, excuse me. By weak links, I mean where the goal of doing the work of the people of this great county has not been done, due to hiding behind executive session, arguments, childish actions, etc. It is the job of this collective body to stay strong and take an equal share of every one of you to achieve that goal. In addition, the level of respect in this chamber, I dare say, is unacceptable and disgusting. When you enter this chamber, you check your egos, your past, and your personal feelings at the door. Some of you are probably thinking, well, respect is something earned, not given. And while I fully agree with that, you were each elected on your own right to be here to do the work of your constituents. You might not respect the person in the office, but in the chamber you should respect the office and the title. Failing to do so is saying to the citizens who that person represents, we have no respect for you and your voice just doesn't matter. And since this body represents all the citizens of Herkimer County, there's a fatal flaw in that thinking. On many occasions this has happened, and as a young man who is involved because this is my home, to have my brother ask me, why do they fight like they're third graders and treat each other with no respect, made me in some ways feel ashamed of the body. In a recent committee meeting, it was cited that the reason it was necessary to move into executive session, excluding everybody but the members of the committee and not allowing one member of the minority party to stay, was because it was a matter of tradition. I understand that I'm only 22 years old. However, I consider myself far above my years, walking a much different path than the people who would be considered my peers. It is rare to see a 22-year-old man regularly attend these meetings, let alone stand before you and speak. I have been in leadership roles on national, state, and local organizations, so I feel qualified to ask the following. What happened to the greater traditions, ones which government were founded upon, ones such as democracy, self-service, collective cooperation, and my personal favorite, mutual respect? As a professor was once quoted saying, the idea of democracy is not majority rule, but all parties working together equally to do the best job possible, even after the majority rule is achieved, and includes all members who are given an equal voice. What's happened in this county? That's for you to judge. Over Easter break, a friend of mine, along with his girlfriend, came up from D.C. His job down there, he's a congressional aide to a congressman, and she is the chief of staff of a senator from her home state. They saw a recording of the legislature and looked amazed. He turned to me and said, and I quote, "Geez, and this is what you have to deal with? And I thought the House was bad." To which she countered saying, "And I thought the Senate was bad too." Just food for thought. In closing, I'd like to thank those of you who didn't just hear what I had to say, but listened as well. The difference being hearing requires no energy and happens by being in this room, where listening requires focus, attention, eye contact perhaps, and in my opinion is a sign of respect. I pray that each of you will start to cross party lines, work together, and grow up. And I'd like to leave you with two quotes of opposing views. The first from H.L. Mencken. One said, "Government consists of a gang of people, exactly like you and me. They, having taken with one another, no special talent for the business of government, they only have the talent for getting and holding office." And on the other side of that, we have Mayor Bloomberg. There is no other job in government where cause and effect is so tightly coupled, where you can make a difference every day in so many different ways and in so many different people's lives. It's a great challenge. I challenge you, no, I dare you, to collectively be more like the second and less like the first. Thank you.
Chris Wilson, subject matter is Herkimer County Humane Society.
Hi everybody. I'm a little nervous because I usually don't do this. I'm Vice President of the Booster Club of the Humane Society. I'm Chris Wilson. I'm in District 8. I'm looking for Mr. Brzezinski. Hey, how you doing? I want to show you guys what we do when we go out. This is our adoption clinic shirt we wear. We represent the Herkimer Humane Society, and we also represent Herkimer County. I want to tell you people, when we go out, we go to New Hartford, we go to Utica, we go all over, and there's been individuals that haven't even realized that we had a humane society in Herkimer County. We got many dogs adopted from all over, from Watertown, Rome, New Hartford, and they come to our county to come adopt our animals when they see it. I feel publicly embarrassed because, number one, I feel that I deserve, not I, the boosters deserve a public apology because the board knows that money was not mismanaged. I would never accuse the board of mismanaging me. I know, as much as maybe they don't like me or whatever the case may have been, or I'm not liking them right about now, I still would never accuse them of mismanaging me. That's almost like accusing me of abuse. That's just exactly how I feel. We solicited many businesses for gifts. I was one of them. And one of the directions that the board gave us that we were supposed to give them gifts that we had already solicited for. And when we went into businesses, we gave them a professional letter with our business card stating that it was for the cabin fever, the day, the time, and the place. Now, as far as not going by a board directive, how can I give a gift to the board when I already told that business that we were going to have it for this event? To me, that would be fraud. We put it on Facebook that we were going to have these items, and I feel that we couldn't do that. So if you want to say that I didn't abide by a board directive, yes, I had to. It would have been fraud. These were places that I actually went to in New Hartford that the board or anybody else has never gone to before, but all of a sudden, it seems like these gifts needed to be with them for some reason. I don't know why. I have no clue. I have my letter here that we passed out. I feel like I need to show it to a few of you people at least so you understand. I only got a couple of seconds. So you need to understand my point of view, where I'm coming from and what we're saying here. Nobody did anything wrong. I've been there for 2.5 years. We've been never given any guidelines, no handbook. We have always put money in our account and wrote a check out. It's no different than you selling candy at the kids' school, and you have to also write a check out and send it to the school that way. Same thing. So to me, there's just, it was an injustice for what happened. Let's see what else I got. I feel that if there was a concern of any type of money handling at any event, then where was the board? Where was the treasurer at the end of the event to come collect? We never see one, we never had one there. They disbanded the board, but I don't know, they didn't have a plan B, I guess, or a plan A, because there's no guidelines for the new volunteers. So was it done out of hatred? Was it done out of you dislike someone, or you just being mean or bullies? Whatever the case may have been, you would think you would have had a plan in place already before you just handed it. They just handed you $10,000 up to March 25th. I passed out to everybody this guidelines here. These guidelines here is actually a proposal. This is how it was represented to us in bold. It's yelling. It's not very professional. Okay. I just wanted you to know what you have here. The next piece here is actually, well, the other part is the other sheet is the disbandment. You guys can read that in your own time. I'm not going to go over it. And then the other part is the rebuttal. Basically all I have to say, I'm upset, I'm going to be honest with you guys, and it's hurtful. It was my first time ever volunteering, and I don't know if I can do it again. A meeting would have been nice to at least talk, and maybe a handbook, a guideline. When I train somebody at work, they get a handbook. And if they do something wrong, it's my fault, if I didn't guide them the right way. Thank you.
Continue on. Communications received by the legislature and the committees to which they have been referred are listed on the agenda. Does any member have of the legislature request mention of any particular communication? Mrs. Rose.
May I have correspondence number 141 then, please?
This is from the Assistant District Attorney Jeffrey Carpenter. I hereby designate line of succession of the District Attorney's Office. Number 1, Robert P. McGraw, Assistant District Attorney. 2, James J. Franchi, Assistant District Attorney. And 3, Jacqueline Asno, Assistant District Attorney.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mrs. Russell?
I'm just wondering if the, you have your mics on because it's difficult to hear. Thank you.
Mrs. Rose?
Number 149, please.
This is from the Personnel Officer. Request a resolution sponsored by the Ways and Means Committee appointing Beth Sadlin, 193 Lakeview Drive, Little Falls, to the position of Real Property Tax Director 2, for the term April 30th, 2012 through September 30th, 2013. Annual base salary $47,657. And sincerely yours.
Anyone else? Move on. Pursuant to Rule 6, Number 8, reports of standing committees. I'll ask if there is any committee chairman who wishes to make any remarks of progress for the committee. Mr. Russell.
Mr. Chairman, I was hoping that we could yield the floor to Mr. Wallace, who I asked to give a presentation with regards to the county, the state impact on the county budget. Obviously, we're not as thrilled with it as other people might be, and Mr. Wallace has 3 things that he can explain to how it might affect the taxpayers in Garrison County.
So ordered. Mr. Wallace.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Russell asked me to put together some thoughts about the current 2012-2013 state budget. I think we've all kind of heard glowing reviews of the budget. I don't seem to see it that way. We're still going through an awful lot of the numbers, but just from our work over the last month, what we see is about a 4.65% tax increase of taxpayers in Herkimer County, which is about $1.15 million of extra costs or omissions and programs that we asked for things to happen. Medicaid, I think everybody here in the room, you know, whether you follow county government or not, you understand Medicaid is probably the biggest cost at the state level and also at the county level. We currently pay, in your property tax dollars, you guys, $13.57 million. There was talk about, we've had a soft cap where the costs go up every year. There was talk about a cap going away. That cap didn't happen for 2012, so the county will pay an additional $334,351. Substantial money. Overburden aid. A long time ago, with state hospitals and mental hygiene facilities, there was a promise made to counties when they closed that those individuals would be taken care of through state and federal Medicaid by the state. Those names disappeared somehow at the state level in 2005-2006. The state offered counties cents on the dollar to settle those. The majority of counties in New York State settled. 6 to 8 of us, and don't hold me to exactly, did not do that. Herkimer County was one of them. We've brought in a couple $1 million to date, and we're counting on another $500,000 this year. Within the budget, that was closed. We're no longer able to go after that. That was supported by both houses of the legislature and the governor. So that's a cost to the taxpayers of a $500,000. Elections. I'm going to be very, very conservative. If you talk to our election commissioners, they're going to tell you a lot more money. And I know Shelley's here with us tonight. And Kathleen would say the same thing. We're going to see 3 primaries this year. We had one yesterday. We'll see one on June 26th, and we'll see one the second Tuesday. The state government could not get together with the feds and move the primary to one date, so we'll have 2 more primaries in New York State. I think 1,000 people voted yesterday, guys. You paid, close to $100,000, for 1,000 people to vote. I mean, everybody wants people to vote. That's not a question. The question is, why couldn't we get together at the state and federal level to combine, 3 primaries in New York State? Kind of ridiculous. So the numbers that I'm looking at would be close to $100,000 this year. 65 to 70,000 of that would be county money. We're able to use some HAVA for the balance in those things, but as Shelley and Kathleen and Mr. Decker, led me to believe, the HAVA money is cap money. So once you spend that, the following year you're going to be spending more county tax dollars for those elections. Again, another big hit. Something that we push for, I don't think it's a hot topic, but the jail topic and people in jail. We asked for parolees to be covered New York statewide. We average at a minimum 4 people. That would save the county $116,000. A whole bunch of little, what I think some people would think are little things. Take the increase in the DA salary. That happened a few years ago. They give you the money the first year to cover it, and then the state takes the money away. $12,000 hit to us. Some diversion in DSS, $31,000. Increase to HR clients of $59,000. Our indigent defense, I think everybody remembers that a few years ago. The rates were raised. We were given more aid. That aid has declined over the last couple of years to the tune of another $25,000. Our youth bureau, which, I was with the youth bureau. I alluded to that with Mary back in 79, 80, 81. We get less money today to work with kids than we did in 1979, 1980. We took another $52,000 hit over the last 2 years. So again, when you add all that up, plus we don't have all the numbers, but I think when you're looking at a $1.15 million hit to the county taxpayers, that's 4.65% on the tax base. That's what we know of. That's a big hit.
Did it?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Russell?
Yeah, I just want to mention that the parolees that Mr. Wallace was talking about are state parolees. So the county taxpayers are paying for state parolees.
Is there any more, Mr. Russell, on Ways and Means? Okay. No. I'm going to try to stick to the rules here. Okay.
Just on, Mr. Wallace, if you could inform this large group the impact of all the things you just said, how it impacts our 2012, the year in the budget we've already adopted. I think that's pertinent information.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, there were some omissions and some cuts. The overburden aid, that $500,000 is real. We budgeted $500,000. So that's something that will definitely hit us. The increased payment to HR clients, absolutely another hit to us. Some diversion programs will be a hit to us. The DA increase is a hit to us. Indigent defense is a hit to us. We didn't have a lot of faith in the Medicaid, so we did budget that, so that won't hit us this year. The elections, that'll hit us this year. So it's a tremendous hit to the taxpayers of the county.
Mr. Russell, anything more with Ways and Means?
Well, I just wanted to say that our budget goes from January 1st up to December 31st. State budget starts April 1st. So anything that they do beyond, anything changes that they make to the budgets can affect us within this year, as Mrs. Rose pointed out, Mr. Wallace pointed out. So every time we get together during the fall to put our budgets together, we're very conservative. We try to do the best we can, but sometimes there are things that we cannot control. And unfortunately, the state is our biggest burden, and it's really getting tiring from a standpoint of when you're getting hollered at for spending money and raising people's taxes, or even not raising people's taxes as we've done in the past. But then you try to explain to people, well, the state has so many has so many mandates, and people say, well, that's just tough. You need to make sure that your budget's okay. Well, our budget, if you look at it, people, is not very big in terms of our actual county budget. If you could take those state numbers out of there, we would pay very little in county tax.
Any other committee chair? Mr. Smith?
Mr. Chairman, the Human Resource Committee met 3 times since our last regular legislative meeting. 2 nights we met to select a replacement for Mary Scanlon for the Office of Aging. And a week ago we met in a joint meeting with the Ways and Means Committee to take care of some housekeeping things for both the Department of Social Services and Dr. O'Keefe's department. Okay, and all these things are on tonight's agenda for your vote.
Any other committee chair? Mr. Hendricks?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Public Safety Committee met on April 18, and we had a, thanks to our Director Bob Van Walker, we're accepting a Homeland Security grant tonight for $75,468. That's for 2011. It's that will go for a radio system and communication center upgrades. The second item was the Homeland application for 2012 Homeland Security funding. The 2012 funding has been reduced again by the state, down about 50% over the last 2 years, and there's a fear that next year that it may not be available at all. So just as a heads up, and then just approve the purchase of computer system and upgrades, and then an EMS advisory board has been revived. It was very active when we were doing setting up 911 originally, and it kind of fizzled, and it has been revived, and also appointments on fire advisory board.
Anyone else? I'll pinch it for Mr. Kuklinski, who's out. He just had one item for county planning development, and that was a bid award for the transportation for the Old Ford Summer Youth Program. So that'll be on the agenda. Mr. Shaw.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank Mr. Stubik for taking the time to do a tour of the sewer plant with us. And right now they're doing an engineering study there for some equipment they're going to be replacing in the future. We described or showed us that equipment and explained why it needed replaced. We also are doing a review of District 6 of the Ag District, which is an 8-year review that Ag and Markets Law requires that we do. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw, for natural resources. Mrs. Minnie.
Yes, the Administration of Veterans Affairs Committee also met last week, and we had Kathleen Farmer from the elections talk about the amendment to the HAVA grant to get funds for the elections. And then we had Sylvia Rowan, our county clerk, give us the update on the veteran card, which is just about ready to go off, and her annual report of the county clerk, and also to authorize the courts to have access to the county clerk records.
I believe that concludes all the committees. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Corsi.
Before we go into our resolutions and motions, I request unanimous consent of this legislature to address the concerns of the Humane Society that were raised here tonight.
I'll second.
Second. Mr.
I request unanimous consent to go into the concerns that are raised by the Humane Society.
Without objection? All right, carry on.
Mr. Chairman, our bylaws do call for 11 members. We were down to 8 as of last Wednesday, and last Thursday, 3 resignations were finalized. The boosters were not disbanded at our meeting. The executive committee felt that
that had to be proposed to the full board for consideration. And when the meeting was done last Thursday night, that motion to disband the boosters was in fact tabled. And I think also, if you go into our minutes, and our minutes are very thorough, you won't find a resolution that even formed the boosters to begin with. So they are their own organization. The president of the Booster Club was also a member of our board of directors. And since last November, issues concerning the boosters made the board of directors meetings of the Herkimer County Humane Society. We were start at 7. We were there sometimes until 10, 10:30. And issues that had arisen with the boosters, we brought up with the president of the Booster Club. She said she would take those back, and she would come back, and that this would get resolved. And so for the last 6 months, those issues in fact did not get resolved. And it escalated. Whether the message wasn't being received or whether the message was being ignored, I don't know, Mr. Chairman. We felt, obviously, about hitting up too many businesses too often, that maybe you can go to the well once too often and ask people to continue to support them. And we felt that and the scope of the cabin fever thing may have gotten a little out of control. We asked that it be tamed down, and I don't think that request went anywhere. My wife is not on the board. That is a misconception. She only spends about 20 to 25 hours a week writing thank you notes to anybody that makes contributions to the Humane Society. And then she does pinch hit when the secretary goes to Florida during the winter. The Booster Club needed a place to store their things. I donated my time to help pour the concrete. I donated my time to build the building. I donated my time to put a roof on the building. I've donated as much time to that as I've donated to anything. Right now we're closing in on our 16th annual muster, and that started after I was appointed to the board of directors of the Herkimer County Humane Society. As I said at last Thursday's meeting, when I first started there was a Daryl and a Daryl that were caretakers living in the house, and if they adopted a dog that night, the bar was open in the basement. So that's how the Humane Society was run when I got there. The contracts for the townships flowed through this legislature, and the billing was based on the dog enumeration. And the billing for those towns came out of this office. And finally, that got straightened out to the point where the Humane Society does it on its own. We get a full and comprehensive annual report of our monies. We draw up budgets. We file with the comptroller. There's workers' compensation and wages filed on all the employees. We've worked with the board. Does a lot. I don't know how else to say it. Tomorrow, there's going to be about 5 or 6 people that are going to fold newsletters for about 5 or 6 hours to get all those newsletters folded. I mean, this group, and I don't discourage any volunteer effort. I never have. I've done as much as I can for the boosters, and I just think that the communication, the ball was dropped dramatically, and that the frustration fell on the board that they didn't know what else to do. I know there was a lot of people that were crying at last Thursday's meeting. I don't think this thing is by any means over with as far as an effect on the Humane Society. But I just think that it does need to be channeled in a different direction, and definitely a lot more communication back and forth between whatever two groups are doing. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to say, I hope both entities can work this out, and we wish you both well. It's not a comment period.
It's not a comment period, Mr. Chairman. I need to say something regarding the Humane Society, because the 2 days that we were there, Dennis and I were there 2 days. The first day we were there, we got soaking wet. The second day, we finished that building. We worked hard, very, very hard, to put up that building. I don't know what's going on right now with this Humane Society, but I can tell you that we worked very hard together, him and I both, and many other people, to put up that building. Thank you very much.
Okay, again, it's not comment period, so if you want to reserve that comment till the end of the session, I'll allow you that. You need to move on with consent. Before we move on with the resolutions, I just want to make a reminder that this is the debates section of the meeting. Please have all your debate on the floor, right here, right now. We will not reopen debate like we did last couple of meetings. We have rules that were clarified by Mr. Malone last meeting, so if you had a chance to have your debate at the committee level, you'll have your chance to make debate on the floor this evening, and it'll end there. Unless you want to open it up, you get 9 votes with a motion, we could reopen debate, but I'm just clarifying that we need to have debate.
When is the debate period? When the motion?
When resolutions are on the floor. Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Okay.
I just wondered if we could have Rob explain what the county position is in relation to the Humane Society, or our obligation. I think somebody might have the idea that we control it, and we don't.
We don't. We're a third party to it. We give a...
May I, Jim?
I'll allow Mr. Corse being the expert. Remember, we need to stick to our rules, folks, but I'm going to go off base.
Okay. I mean, I can probably do it in a nutshell. All we are is a 5013C not-for-profit agency, and several other agencies that are not-for-profits we support with block grants in the course of the year. And so Herkimer County Humane Society has approximately $250,000 annual budget, and the Herkimer County makes a block grant of I think $13,500 to the Humane Society in the course of the year.
Mr. Russell.
Chairman's suggestion is to refer to the Natural Resources Committee to see if there's anything, any obligations that we do have, maybe to be able to facilitate anything that, any solutions that might exist, and then we can get on with our meeting.
Mr. Shaw, will you look into that, please? Thank you, sir. All right, we'll move on with the consent agenda. Ask the clerk to read the title of each resolution of the consent agenda.
Number 99 is Admin Veterans Affairs with the annual report of the county clerk. Number 100 is Human Resources Committee with the annual report of social services. 101 is Public Safety Emergency Management, appointing members of the Fire Advisory Board. 102 is the Public Safety Emergency Management, appointing members of the EMS Advisory Board.
I have a motion. Mr. Hyde, need a second? Mr. Smith, any debate?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
I want to thank all these people that volunteer.
Any other debate? It's a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. We'll now go into the regular agenda, starting with number 103. This is also a voice.
Is the Committee for Human Resources and Ways and Means amending budget in connection with the immunization grant.
This resolution amends the Herkimer County budget in connection with funding received under the contract renewal of the grant for the immunization action plan. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, may I have a second? Mr. Shaw, any debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution is passed. Number 104.
Human Resources authorizing contract with state for funding for early intervention program.
This resolution authorizes a contract for the receipt of an early intervention administration grant for the public health nursing service. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mrs. Manine. Any debate? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 105, voice vote.
Human Resources, Ways and Means, amending Resolution 194 of 08 in connection with reimbursement for rabies grant.
This resolution amends Resolution number 194 of 2008 for an increase in the county's allocation under the rabies program grant. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second. Mr. Hendricks and Mr. Shaw. Any debate? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution carries. 106.
Human Resources making appointment of Director of Office for the Aging.
This resolution appoints Kathy Fox of Little Falls to the position of Director of Office of the Aging for the County of Herkimer. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mrs. Manine, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Mano, and Hendricks. Is there any debate? Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, I attended the Human Resource Committee where this appointment was to considered and interviews were held. And during that meeting, I think we had a full committee present. And Mr. Brzezinski and myself were there. And initially, you moved to go into executive session. And then while in executive session, moved to exclude, to welcome, I guess, to invite Mr. Wallace, Mr. Malone, and Mr. Billings to the session, which in essence would have excluded Mr. Brzezinski and myself. I did ask that you consider amending your motion to allow one member from the minority to be present. And I believe that's where you made the comment, and it's heard on the tape, the Concerned Citizens tape, where you claimed that there was a tradition and there was no need to accept my request for an amendment. I don't know when that tradition began, because it certainly hasn't been honored in the time that I've been sitting in the legislature, with the exception of the Director of Real Property. I wish that you had allowed it, because I learned, and sitting in the hall, one of the candidates that was interviewed was the daughter of the vice chairman of this legislature. I think having a minority present would allow us to attest to the process. It's not invasive. They shouldn't be overbearing on the people that are being interviewed. They have one more person present in the room. And to bar that really takes away from us the ability to view the process, report on the process, and we come up short. This, my objection is certainly not to the choice that's been made. I did not have the opportunity, because of other personal issues, to review the file that I interviewed, and I would imagine it probably mirrors the process that was used on the Director of Real Property, and I'll speak to those issues when that motion comes forward. So I'm disappointed that you personally made the motion and spoke to tradition, that I'm unaware of any tradition, and therefore it makes it very difficult for us to embrace the appointment, for me to embrace the appointment. Thank you.
Any other debate? Mr. Brzezinski.
Mr. Chairman, I too agree that a member of the minority party should have been in on the interviews of that job. And the way I vote tonight will have no reflection at all on the person that gets this job. Thank you very much.
Mr. Hart.
I agree with my colleagues that just spoke. I'd like to mention that at one of those Human Resource Committee meetings, I made the same request to have a minority member present during the interview process, and it was denied. I think we are electing department heads here. We are elected officials that were sent here to do a job, and I don't think I could adequately do the job because I was closed out and other members of the minority were as well.
Mr. Russell.
Well, I just want to point out that I know they look at minority and majority. Personally, I don't. But other members of the body were, not asked to stay too. And I think if you could maybe direct the, I think it's veterans, in terms of trying to come up with some solution to making it easier for the person that is doing the interview and people conducting the interview, but also allowing anybody who would like to see the interviews. And I'm not sure what the answers are. I mean, I've been going over in my head for a while, but I think it is fair that if people would want to see the interviews that are taking place, that it should be allowed to happen. I don't know the answers, but it certainly would be worth talking about within a committee meeting.
I'm going to make a comment. I've had some ideas about it. I'll address those with Mrs. Minnie on how we can make this more fluid. Let me just say, I'm not here to answer questions, but I need to answer this. My premise that night was that you could potentially have 17 legislators sitting in a room with a potential candidate, along with 3 administrative staff there, have 20 people. I just thought that it's totally unprofessional to have 20 people in front of a candidate, and you wouldn't get a good response from that candidate. And that's the reason that motion was made. And we've done that in the past. And that's the tradition that I was talking about. And I'm not going to answer any more questions. So, Mr. Hart.
I just want to make a point that I agree with you. We shouldn't have 20 people in the room. However, I see no problem with allowing one member of the minority. That, I mean, it would back up your process as well. And as you know, the members of the minority are not involved in most of these committees. And I just want to end by stating that my vote as well is no reflection on this.
Right. You know, I'm tired of hearing the minority and the majority. Again, with Mr. Russell said, I concur with that. I think there's other ways around this, and I'll have Mr. Minning look into those, and I'll talk to you about those, Gene, when we have a chance.
Mr. Chairman, you may be fatigued to have to talk about it.
I'm not fatigued.
Don't put words. The word tired is
don't put words in my mouth and don't assume.
Fatigue, Mr. Chairman, a synonymous thesaurus would tell you fatigue and tired could be the same. I'll use your word. You're tired.
I didn't say that.
I'm tired of hearing the word minority or majority you just said. And I think that I would like it not to be about majority and minority. I would like it to be about Mr. Chairman, did you recognize?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I would like it to be about how do we advance county government? How do we ensure the faith in the process? There were only 2 other people in that room. There were not the danger of 17. There were 2 other people, the 2 from the minority party. The tradition that you speak of, there's been interviews that I've been since I was elected to this legislature in 2008, have never been excluded from the process, have never seen it to be something that has been cumbersome. And it hasn't really been discussed before. I hope that there will be a solution to this because we don't need to waste our energy on this. I hope that there'll be something that will recognize the idea that we do have Democrats and we have Republicans, but we're here to do the people's business. I agree with you on that, and I'd like it to be resolved in a way that we know that the people in the communities that I represent and the others are appropriately represented there. Thank you.
More debate. Mr. Russell.
Well, I suggest that anybody on this legislature that has any ideas in regards to making the process better, bring it to Mrs. Minning's committee.
Thank you.
So ordered. Mr. Hendricks.
Mr. Chairman, we have a young lady waiting out in the hall. Let's figure out what's going on. I think we overheard the courtesy of a vote.
Did we take the vote?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Request.
I move the question.
I know you did, Lonnie, but 1 second. This gal lived over the road. Her husband worked for me on my farm. This is a wonderful gal we're getting. And I think that ought to be here in those minutes too.
Ordered. Motion's made and second. Do we, all in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Abstain.
1 abstention?
Abstaining.
2, 3
Abstain.
abstentions.
Point of order, I'd like Mr. County Attorney, Mr. Malone, to talk about the extension.
I'll allow that.
Certain rules in regards to extension.
Yeah, it's Rule 34. Mr. Chairman, if you wish.
Yes.
Any member who shall be present when a question is stated from the chair shall vote thereon unless excused by unanimous consent of the legislature, or unless he or she be personally interested in the question, in which case he shall not be entitled to vote. That would be an abstention. So unless there is a personal interest in the question, I believe the rules require a vote.
I abstain.
Do we need to take it over? So those abstentions will be no votes.
The abstentions are outside the rules, in my opinion. The members, the rules require the members to vote yes or no unless they're personally interested in the question, unless they have a conflict of interest of some type, in other words.
I'll order that. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay.
Abstain.
Abstain.
So registered. Moving on.
I just would like to thank the legislature for bringing this opportunity
dedicated staff, they all came here today. They're dedicated and caring, and we'll all work together to serve the senior citizens and caregivers in our county. But I also want to say thank you to Mary. I'd like to thank her personally. Mary, I've been a wonderful, wonderful boss. And she's always inspired all of her staff to do the best work. She's helped so many seniors feel so many times. On behalf of all the seniors and all of us, thank you for the job.
Thank you, Kathy. First, to welcome you aboard, and I was part of the interview process. I know we had a lot of great candidates, and this is Jim Bowman speaking, but I think we made a great choice, best choice. So we look forward to working with you, and we're going to miss Mary. I just want to say before we move on that back on April 18th, we had an advisory board meeting that I attended, and Mary's been pivotal there. I did present her with a proclamation. I didn't know if I should do it tonight, or I just thought it meant more with her peers there, with all the people that she works with on a day-to-day basis, and their staff being there. So I did present her with April 19th was Mary Scanlon Day, and I hope you took it off, Mary. Great employee. So we wish you and Dan the best in your travels, and good luck. It was a pleasure having you, and we stop by and see you sometime. We'll move on to number 107, voice vote.
Yep. Ways and Means, making appointment of county director of real property tax.
This resolution appoints Beth Sadlin of Little Falls to the position of Real Property Tax Service Director for the County of Herkimer. May I have a motion? Mr. Ackerman, second. Mr. Weekly, Mr. Russell. Any debate? Mrs. Rosen.
Mr. Chairman, this particular appointment was I raised the issue last month where this committee convened without notice to the full legislature and called a mirror, called whatever. But I sought out an appointment with Mr. Billings and reviewed the file of that interview. And I was pleased to see, because I asked to see the questions that were asked of the individuals, the resumes of the people. There was, and I have to commend Mr. Smith, he did a tally sheet, a score sheet, if you will, on his perception of some candidates that was absent on most of the other people that were present during the interview. I assume they were incomplete, to say the least. And at least what I viewed in the file, I could not see it on each and every one of the people. One of the concerns I had was that apparently, as the fruits of that appointment process, the decision was made. And again, I want to preface, this is not a reflection on the people that you're bringing forward. But the committee process yielded a recommendation for who that person should be. And that was clear in reviewing the file. But apparently, that individual...
Mr. Chairman, can I have a point of order? We're going to talk about personnel issues.
No, I'm not talking about people.
I just wondered if we should be going into executive session.
I am not talking about individuals' names.
I ask that you refrain if you...
I am not talking about individual names. The problem that I have...
I just think that this line is just out of order in regards to what's happening right now in this
Change your direction, Mrs. Rose.
Well, I will tell you that the committee apparently made a recommendation, and at some point after the committee meeting, the recommendation was altered, and a name was brought forward.
I don't. That's
well, I was told by the director of human resources.
If you want to make a motion to go to executive session, so do it.
I don't. I asked how.
Mr. Malone,
I am not talking about an
I'm asking Mr. Malone to give me a ruling on this.
Anyone in the legislature can make a motion to go into executive session, and this discussion would take place in executive session.
He needs to be on grounded, accurate ground.
Yeah, and this would be matters leading to the employment of a particular person.
I'm questioning the process that we
Chairman, I move to we go into executive session.
Motion has been made to go into executive session. Second by Mr. Hendricks. All in favor? Any opposed?
No.
No.
Motion carries. We're in executive session. I'd ask everyone to leave the room, please.
made and seconded on appointing Beth Salem of Little Falls as real property tax services director. May have a motion. All those in, Mr.
More debate.
Okay.
I'll allow it.
More debate. You recognize me?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, being that minority members of this legislative body were not allowed in executive session to ask questions face-to-face of the individuals interviewed for the job of Director of Real Property, I will abstain from voting.
We just went through.
I did, however, talk and ask questions face-to-face with Darlene Balio Abaticola, who I've known personally for many years. Mrs. Abaticola is also interested in this position and who I feel is well qualified for the job, in all respect, should have gotten the job. When you suggested at many legislative meetings to contact the chairman of the committee that you may have questions for, being no minority was allowed to ask any direct questions, I did just that through email. I contacted Pat Russell, and his first response was, "What's your real question?" Why somebody from Frankfurt didn't get hired? Patrick. Now, wasn't that professional? When contacting him, again, he answered some of the questions, but referred me to Steve Billings. Thank you very much.
Any more debate? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no.
Abstain.
I abstain, because I have a personal interest in having access to
Be
information.
addressed by the chair.
Okay. Can I tell you why?
It should be a yes or no vote. You were clarified on that earlier.
I'll clarify why I'm abstaining. I have a personal interest in having access to information in the process to do the job that my constituents sent me to do. I have a personal interest.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that would not qualify as being personally interested, in my opinion.
Mr. Chairman, point of order again, I just want to point out, as we discussed in the rules in regards to abstention.
So ordered.
You all set?
No. Did you want that? I'm sorry.
Have I been asked to clarify? Did you want to do that again? Okay, I didn't understand.
No, what I said was, I just wanted to point it out within the minutes, my objection in regards to.
Okay, I'm sorry. Heard something? Yes.
Why people can't abstain as specified.
Clarification on any abstentions? Mrs. Rose, no?
Affirmative.
Affirmative. 2 abstentions.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Wallace.
Thank you for the opportunity to serve as the next real property tax director. I look forward to working with all of you and my staff, and I'm anxious to get started. Thank you.
On behalf of the legislature, welcome aboard. You have a daunting and challenging tax, especially when it deals with property taxes. So good luck to you, and if you need anything, let us know.
Thank you.
We'll move on to 108.
Administration, Veterans Affairs, Ways and Means, authorizing execution contracts for HAVA funds.
This resolution authorizes receipt of a grant for the Herkimer County Board of Elections in connection with the HAVA operations expenses. May I have a motion? Ms. Manning, second by Mr. Johnson. Any debate? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Resolution passes 109. Voice vote.
Public Safety Emergency Management, Ways and Means, authorizing upgrades for equipment and software at the Communications Center.
This resolution approves listed upgrades for computer equipment and software for the Herkimer County Communications Center. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Hendricks. Any debate? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 110. Voice vote.
Public Safety Emergency Management, authorizing application for grant from Homeland Security.
This resolution approves a grant application to receive 2012 State Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Services Program funding. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second. Mr. Hyde. Any debate? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Resolution passes. 111, voice vote.
Public Safety Emergency Management, Ways and Means in connection with receipt of Homeland Security funding.
This resolution authorizes acceptance of the 2011 Homeland Security Grant and amendment of the budget in connection with the receipt of the said funding. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Hyde. Any debate? All those in favor say yea.
Aye.
Aye. Any of those opposed say nay. Resolution passes. Number 112, voice vote.
County Planning and Development, Ways and Means awarding bid for bus service for the 04 Area Transportation Program.
This resolution awards a contract to Little Falls Fonda Bus Corporation for bus service for the Old Forge Area Transportation Program for the Youth Employment Program for the summer of 2012. May I have a motion? Mr. Shaw, second by Mr. Johnson and Mr. Russell. Any debate? Yes, Mr. Hyde.
Could we have the chairman explain what the savings was this year on this contract?
I have to refer to Mr. Wallace, because I don't have it written down, but it was substantial.
Yeah, Mr. Hyde's a great point. You know, we were very concerned, Mr. Pavlinsky was very concerned that we may have to cut other programs or do some juggling with this. We're looking to save around $13,000 on the contract.
Just wanted the public to be aware of that.
That was great news, Bob. Thanks for pointing it out.
Any more debate? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 113.
Human Resources, Ways and Means authorizing contract with State Department of Health for HealthNet, Inc.
This resolution amends the budget and authorizes a contract in connection with a grant awarded to Herkimer County HealthNet. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith. Second by Mr. Hendricks. Any debate? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Resolution passes. 114. Roll call.
Ways and Means for amendment of salary schedule compared to a mandated salary of district attorney.
This resolution amends the Herkimer County salary schedule to comply with state legislation that requires an increase in the district attorney's salary. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second. Mr. Weekly, Mr. Shaw. Any debate? Mr. Russell.
I just want to reiterate that this was something that we didn't anticipate. The state is putting more of a mandate on us. It is a mandate, and I guess by law we're supposed to support it.
Mr. Canal, correct. Any more debate? I'll ask the clerk call the roll.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
Mano.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Corse.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Weekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Manine.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
16.
It's unanimous. Number 115.
Human Resources, Ways and Means authorizing contracts with Kids Herkimer and the House of the Good Shepherd.
This resolution authorizes contracts with the House of the Good Shepherd and Kids Herkimer for the provision of services as listed for prevention, programming for risk youth. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Hendricks. Any debate? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Resolution passes. Number 116.
Education, Ways and Means Properties, approving letter of intent to purchase or lease 4 to 6 acres of an assisted living facility on the college campus.
This resolution approves the chairman to execute a letter of intent in connection with a proposed project between Herkimer County Community College and Valley Health Services to establish a joint living and learning facility. I have a motion. Mr. Ackerman, second. By Mr. Hendricks. Any debate? Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, I sent an email on this trying to figure out what committees this was discussed in, and I can see that this resolution has signatures of the Properties Committee, Education Committee, and Ways and Means Committee that are signing this. I missed an Education Committee meeting. I believe that Dr. Murray was present, and I've had people tell me that she spoke to the possibility of having some type of program that could be located on the college and that excess land that's up there. I believe it's owned by the foundation, I'm certain of that. And that it could be something that could enhance educational component of the college, and I certainly think that that's a great idea. I don't understand, I'm not aware of where this particular intent, the Valley Health Services about building an assisted living facility up there, had received any significant dialogue. Well, I understand that this is a resolution to, an agreement to, an intent to purchase, approving a letter of intent to purchase or lease of the acreage. It has so many questions for me. Representing parts of the village of Herkimer, I'm concerned and that will water and sewer be available there? Has the village said they would provide water and sewer? Does the village have water and sewer? And of course, we all know the elephant in the room would be, well, if it's there, is it available for the PNC site? I'm not certain that that we have all the answers. I have a lot of questions about what this assisted living facility would look like. Is it kind of what they proposed to us when they were going to take over Country Manor? Is it different? Will it have assisted living beds, and will it allow for perhaps the placement of people from Country Manor if this board decides that Country Manor is not going to remain? I think that there needs to be more dialogue on this. Having the college embrace something, I think, is a great idea, but I think we as the legislature should have more information. And I do not believe, as far as the three committees that are on here, there have been any, or if there were some conversation about it, it had to be so limited as to not even be captured in any minutes. So I have questions.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is simply the start of the process. There has not been a lot of discussion, but that, if you read their first resolve, that they're going to have the 120 days in regards to do their due diligence. We are going to be part of that process because the county taxpayers own the land up there that they're looking at. So we are one of the parties, and as one of the parties, we'll be involved in those discussions, and nothing can be done without bringing everything back to this legislature first.
Any other debate? Mr. Hartman.
I do feel a little more comfortable that this 120 days due diligence to negotiate, and they would have to come back to us. But I found something perplexing that I did go back and watch the March Educational Committee meeting that I had missed. In fact, I watched it twice, including once during lunch today. And I was kind of curious how this showed up initially, because just last Wednesday, somebody brought up the question as to whether there was anything going on between Valley Health and the college, because they had heard rumors or reports, and it was kind of poo-pooed in here that, well, there's a brief discussion of doing nothing specific, and that was it. So my thought was that there's nothing on the horizon, we'll hear more about it, and lo and behold, it wasn't just on the horizon, it was right smack in front of us. And so that was 1 week ago when there was no discussion. So I looked back to when it was stated that there was no discussion on that. So, and when I saw this resolution, I looked back at the March education meeting. And the president, who I have the utmost respect for, and the college, who I have the utmost respect for their values, the president spoke. He mentioned something about wanting to perhaps have access to that property sometime in the future for nothing specific. I'm open to ideas. Any specifics would be vetted by the ACCC board in the county. And it was also mentioned that it has to be referred to these other committees. So I'm just, again, alarmed at the process, and it had been mentioned, why are people like me or Ms. Rose suspicious of the process? When I have a chairman tell me last week, and it's on tape, so I'm not telling you anything that I can't substantiate, that there's really, I mean, it was quite clear that you're saying there was a very brief discussion, there was nothing specific. You go back to at least the open committee meeting where the president was present, it was specifically stated that there is really no plans in sight. You just might want to consider something in the future. And, you know, a couple days after I'm told there's nothing going on, I get this get this resolution, and I think that's where part of the suspicion comes from. So I know Education Committee talked about something, but nothing specific, unless there was a meeting I'm not aware of. And I would like to ask too, these other committees that signed on, did they ever meet and discuss it? Because I'm not aware of those meetings.
Mr. Corsi has his hand up next.
Mr. Chairman, this is all predicated, these are baby steps in a process, a curriculum, a syllabus established here that's unique, so that we can move forward in a private partnership and develop a syllabus where the young people of our community can have an opportunity for a job someday. And this is one of probably, I've seen things like this come, it may just evaporate, we don't know what's going to, we hope not. You've got to be enthusiastic, you've got to be willing to commit to the baby step process, and then if something comes to fruition, serious discussion is going to happen.
I'm going to go in order here. Mr. Hyde.
I was taken back by this slightly because I believe it was on the 18th, we had a property meeting last week, and this wasn't present at that time. Did this communication come in after that meeting?
I can't answer that, but I don't know if it would have to go before properties.
It's on the resolution.
It's on the resolution, yeah.
I don't have the dates, but this went to Properties and Ways and Means before it went to Education. I could get those, Bob, for you after the meeting.
We didn't discuss it at that last meeting?
No, it was before that.
Oh, okay.
And I apologize, I don't remember all the dates.
It was the previous Properties Committee meeting.
Property, Ways and Means.
The other thing I wanted to mention is that we have rules in this legislature that state that after a certain point, we will not produce a resolution that hasn't had a chance to go to committee. And it always seems that there's certain fractions where they'll throw in that there's a grant requirement that they have to get this done or they're going to lose the grant. Get the resolutions in so the committees can look at them ahead of time and review them. And if they're not done in that fashion and in that order, they wait until the following month. And it would solve all this cloud of secrecy. This should not have come before us until it was gone to the proper committees and discussed. And I don't know what the time frame is, I don't know what the hurry is, but I know we didn't discuss it at property last week, and we should have. If it was available.
I did give that directive the first 2 weeks out of the blocks. I asked all the departments, and I don't know if they went to the college.
You gotta live by it.
I understand. But I did send a letter out to all the department heads asking that they get that in within 15 days prior. I believe, Ms. Lalonde, it's 15 days prior to our meetings, and the college may have been excluded just because.
I appreciate that.
Different arms like that. Yes, let's clarify with Mr. Malone while we're on the subject.
This is within the rules, this procedure is allowed. There are two things that cover it. First of all, the legislature can consider such resolutions even if not referred to committee unless there's an objection to it and that objection is sustained by a majority vote. And secondly, in lieu of a committee vote, committee consent for consideration by the full legislature may be indicated by the signature of a majority of the committee members on any proposed resolution prior to its approval. So we're well within the rules for the legislature to adopt this resolution tonight. Now, how exactly you wish to proceed on each matter is up to you and up to each committee, but if the committee has signed its consent, it certainly may be voted on tonight. That's perfectly proper.
Thank you. Mr. Hartman.
Again, after reviewing these committee meetings, there seemed to be no sense of urgency or no specifics at the March Education Committee meeting, and there seemed to be nothing on the horizon. Now we're told these others, it was discussed like before that at some other place, and we're not, and there was nothing specific in the works. I don't understand it. I agree with Mr. Hyde. Let me tell you, from the little I know about this concept, it seems like a great concept. I don't know if there's some sense of urgency, like Valley House is going to pull out tomorrow. It's a great concept. I love the college. I think they do great things for us. We need an assisted living facility, but why can't we go through the process correctly? Why? I mean, the thing is, I agree with Mr. Court. Sounds great, it's the first baby steps. Why couldn't somebody, when they were asked last Wednesday, is there anything in the works, be upfront and honest about it? And if you had to go in executive session, do it. Don't pretend there's nothing going on when you know there is. So, well, somebody does, I would think.
Did you call the chairman of those 3 committees listed?
This came at me after I was thinking I didn't even have to worry about that because there's nothing at the horizon.
Did you call them when you received the resolutions?
I'm not sure. Yeah, we got one committee listed. I did look back at the discussion. I don't know what question I'd ask because I watched the committee meeting. What am I going to ask? There was some vague reference to something.
Pick up the phone and call.
I got, wow. Okay.
Mr. Shaw had his hand up.
When I read this resolution, everybody worries about a committee meeting. Well, let's have one. What are we going to talk about? These people got to sit down and work out the details of something they might do. Otherwise, we don't need a committee meeting. There's nothing to discuss yet. Let them do their job.
Mrs. Rosen.
Mr. Chairman, just to Mr. Hartman's point, when we did get these on Friday and open them, and I did send back questions, and I did ask when it was discussed in education, and Mr. Wallace gave me the date, and I reviewed it, and certainly the minutes of that committee meeting didn't disclose this. The part for me is when you recognize Valley Health Services has proposed to enter into an agreement for the purchase of long-term lease agreement with Herkimer County Community College and the County of Herkimer for the construction of an assisted living facility on the campus. I think it too, on the surface it sounds great. I'd love to know what Valley Health is proposing to build there. Mr. Russell said this is county-owned land. I didn't know if it was county-owned, if it's the foundation. I would assume that he knows that it is county-owned land. I would want to know just what Valley Health is going to put there for us to commit that kind of land. To know that they can have an enriched program with the college is certainly a plus. But I think, how many beds are they going to build? Is it the same plan that they proposed when they did at Valley Health? That would be good information to have. And if Valley Health put forth a proposal, it would be helpful if that was shared with us when we're called upon to move this. That's my point. Sure, they're in the baby steps, but what is it that they're proposing to do? And we know that they're sitting on a multi-million-dollar grant, and it would be interesting to know just what the services are that they're proposing to build there, that then, by working out an agreement with the college, can be able to embrace the college's efforts too. We don't have that. I don't know if you have it, or who has it.
Mr. Russell.
That's the purpose of this resolution, for them to do that work and bring it back to our committees in the legislature.
Why are we going to build
I
something?
do not know what they are doing up there. That's what the 120 days due diligence is all about.
Well, I would imagine.
I'm sure that they've had discussions between the two of them. They haven't had them with me in regards to some of the issues that might be taking place, because they did send a letter in regards to trying to get this letter of intent from us as far as the legislature.
We're not here to ask questions.
Well, but he's got a lot right on that.
Yeah, Mrs. Dr. Murray's here, and I know she's, and I usually don't allow this, but I'm going to allow it because it's a topic that's hot here.
Thank you, Chairman Capote. In January of 2010, we held a board retreat for my board members. And the whole purpose of it was to see what would be the viability of the campus and how we could establish ourselves as a unique entity within the system so that we would remain unique within the system. My board came up with quite a few ideas, many ideas of how we could utilize some of the property that was on the campus. I was directed by my board to just explore what options would be out there. Over the following year, I explored those options and had been approached by several private and not private entities with ideas of how to utilize that land. This was one of them, but so there were several others. I'm working under the direction of my board, and upon my recommendation, I said to the board, I do not believe that we should proceed with any development of any land on campus, whether it is county or whether it is foundation, without having the support of the county legislature, the town, and the village. And my reasoning for that was because any development of any one of those ideas or other ideas that may come to us involve time, money, and resources that we are reluctant and will not spend unless we know that we have the support of our community. And so tonight, this is the asking for a non-binding letter of intent so that we can explore and possibly create a memo of understanding with one of the options that have been presented to me or that I have investigated over the last year and not quite a half. And so the purpose of this is simply, and my request to the legislature was exactly that. Please allow us to investigate ideas. That was the purpose of mine. Upon coming to this legislature tonight, I am asking that one of those ideas has risen based on the recommendation of my board to continue the investigation in a more aggressive manner, which means the investment of college time. No resources have been invested, and we will investigate what kinds of resources will have to be investigated. But I will not move forward until I am sure that the county sees our investigation as a reasonable step to take. And that is where we are right now, Mr. Chairman. There are, as I say, a number of things on the table. My board believes that this one is the best one which blends our educational mission and our service to the citizens of the county.
Dr. Murray, thank you for this. Mr. Hartman.
I just want to point out that it's kind of clear that Dr. Murray went before her board. It was the specific that she asked for, and even committee members that are supposed to review these things were unaware of that. And I think Dr. Murray's doing a wonderful thing. My whole problem was that there are rules. And somebody like Mr. Hyde, who is a member of the committee and a very bright, experienced legislator, shouldn't be left out of the loop. And what's the sense of urgency? I don't know, perhaps Dr. Murray could fill us in. I mean, if we actually waited till the next meeting and did this the right way, or if somebody told me and the rest of the room last Wednesday that, yeah, there may be something in the works, no, there's nothing going on. I mean, what's wrong with doing it the right way, I guess the question is. I have no problem with this.
I think it is being done the right way. Mr. Shaw.
I make a motion to move the motion.
Motion is made to move the motion. Second. Mr. Ackerman. All those in favor of moving the motion?
Aye.
All those
Mr. Chairman, I had my
opposed?
hand up for more debate, and you didn't. I had my hand up for more debate.
Under the rules, that takes precedence.
I had my hand up for more debate.
State the rules. We can need a lesson on rules.
My hand was up for more debate.
I didn't see it, Mr.
Well, then you better open your eyes.
I don't need comments like that, Mr.
Well, guess what? My hand,
Mr. Brzezinski,
my
I don't need
hand was
comments
up
like
for
that.
more
Mr.
debate.
Malone, please proceed.
You bang that gavel all you want.
Apparently, there's only rules for certain people.
Absolutely, Mr. Russell.
Absolutely.
All right, yeah, that has precedence. The only motion with greater precedence is a motion to adjourn the legislature. So moving the question is number 2 on the list of motions in precedence. And that does come out today.
Thank you. Motion was made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Now we need a motion, or a vote on the
For additional discussion.
on the motion.
Oh, we closed it.
No,
right?
no, I'm sorry.
Sorry about
Already
that.
made it.
Oh, on the resolution.
Yeah, we need a vote on the resolution. All those in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
As it stands. All those in favor, aye? Any opposed, nay?
No.
No.
Resolution passes. Number 117. Voice vote.
Veterans Affairs, Ways and Means, authorize a home rule request.
This resolution authorizes a home rule request in connection with legislation to extend the imposition of county mortgage tax. May I have a motion? Mrs. Manning, second by Mr. Russell. Mr.
Mr. Shaw. Any debate?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I am still upset with the state of New York that makes us beg and come to them, especially after what Mr. Wallace has told us our budget situation is in. This mortgage tax is about $500,000 a year, Jim?
We're down to about 328.
But we have seen it as high as that when...
Yeah, 2 years ago.
So we have to beg them every 2 years, please let us put this tax in so we don't have to raise property taxes. And yet they pass a budget like they did that's hammering us for $1.5 million on our existing budget. And we've got no other place to go. And we have to beg them, please consider this every 2 years. This is ludicrous, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. Any more debate?
Mr. Chairman, I do believe, in light of what Mr. Corr said, there are some counties that don't have to do this. Am I correct, Mr. Wallace? That don't have to apply every 2 years? Not on this one? It's on the other one, the 1%? I thought there was something else.
They've refused. They're refusing any new taxes on 1%, cell phone tax, mortgage tax. They blanket denied.
Thank you.
Was there anyone else making debate? Mrs. Rose, you had your hand up?
No, sorry.
Any more? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Resolution passes. That concludes the resolutions. We'll now go to comments by legislators, and I'd like to make a couple before anyone here, before I forget here. I had the chance to attend the Recycle One ceremony at the Solid Waste Authority on this past Saturday. Phenomenal tour. If you get a chance, go over there and see the process, how they recycle our recyclables, from cardboard to tin to plastic. What an operation over there. We ought to be proud that, you know, we did couple with Oneida County, and it's paid off. I know Dennis and Mr. Rosinski and Mr. Hendricks were probably involved in their way back. Yeah, I'm sure you want to forget about it at the time, but it's become a model, not just for New York State, but for the country and probably for most of the world. They're winning awards over there. 50% of the trash or garbage is recycled now. So that's a huge number that saves on our landfill. Our landfill was guaranteed for 62 years now because of that recycling efforts. We've pushed it to, and compaction rates, we've pushed that to 74 plus years. So we're good for the next lifetime here. So very proud of that, and so I had a chance to say that. Okay, one other thing I'd like to say. As you know, I've mentioned before that I've been trying to deal with the village of Herkimer on the jail issue. I've met with numerous times with, a couple times each with trustees and the village. I've met with the mayor 2 or 3 times. I've had numerous correspondence through email with the mayor. Back on in the middle of March, I went with Mr. Poplinski to a meeting of the village board. I talked to the village board. I made 3 options to the village board. Now this is a reminder. This is Jim Bono speaking. These are my options that I worked closely with Mr. Wallace on the numbers to see if they were attainable, and I felt they were. Talked to some other legislators, got their feeling on it. I thought I could get the votes with the 9 votes that were needed. I presented 3 options, and I'd like to just go through those tonight and make those public because I think they're key. What we offered what I offered the village. Option 1 was as you know, there's a $155,000 hookup fee that we would have to pay, which is a no-brainer. We would have to give that. That's actually in all 3 options. So that would be paid by the county for the hookup for the sewer. As you know, there's a Quackenbush lawsuit in the tune of around $138,000, Jim? 133. 133. Okay, I had it right here. $133,000 that the village owes the county of Herkimer for a lawsuit, probably 4 years ago anyways, Mr. Malone? Roughly 4 years ago. That would be dismissed as part of option 1. Also, a water rate to be paid from the county to the village at 2.5 times the rate that we're currently paying. It's compared to the Lowe's project. Whatever the Lowe's project paid, that's what we would be doing. It'd be 2.5 times more than what we're paying. That's for the water, and 1 3/4 times for the sewer rate. At a build out, total build out, they would raise $60,000 annually for the village of Herkimer, and that's on a 20,000 gallon per day schedule. Also on that option 1 would be Herkimer's share of $300,000 sales tax. As you know, we took back the 1% sales tax a while back, 3 or 4 years ago, not longer. We would reinstate $300,000 of that $600,000. Herkimer would get their share along with other municipalities getting their share. That would be approximately $20,000 annually to the village of Herkimer. Last on that option 1 would be engineering on flooding. Currently the village of Herkimer has some flooding issues at the bottom of the College Hill. They have secured a grant for that, in the line of $35,000. The county would be able to help them with engineering through our highways department. So we would help them. So that's option 1. Option 2 was offered at a $1 million cash disbursement. That disbursement would be discussed on how we would give that out, whether it be 50% up front and then 25% during the build out or whatever. That was all to be discussed, but that were just some ideas that I threw out. So it would be $1 million up front, $155,000 hookup for the sewer, the Quackenbush dismissal, and then the engineering on the college flooding situation. Option 3 was $600,000 in cash, again to be paid off at the discretion of or through negotiations. Also, Herkimer's share of sales tax for the $300,000. What we do is take $300,000 the first 2 years, give them their share of that sales tax disbursement. Again, roughly $20,000 a year for 2 years. After the 3rd year, we would bump that to $600,000, and then Herkimer would get their share. So if you do the math, it's doubling it. They would get $40,000 a year annually, roughly, depending. If the sales tax went up, it would be more. If it went down, it would be, depending on prices of commodities. Also the engineering on the flooding. So that's what I offered. I brought Mr. Poplinski with me as a witness. We had some debate and questions. I tried to get back with the mayor. I asked him questions. At one point, I even gave the mayor the pen. I said, if you think that these need tweaking, or if you want to come up with something completely different, jot me a line or give me a call. And I have received nothing to date. I did give them a deadline of last Friday. Friday morning, I contacted the mayor via email. I told him that I was expecting a response, an official response, and the response I got was that they were busy working on their budget, and they were going to be busy till May 1st, and he ended it that way. And I responded back promptly. I said I wish you the best, and I would have hoped that my options would have played in on their budget process. So that's where we are. As far as I'm concerned, the ball's in their court. We're expecting a ruling soon with the courts, and that's why I put the deadline on it. And that's my comment. I'm not here to debate this. That's my comment. I'm going to say nothing more of it. If the village wishes to contact me, they can do so. Again, I wish them the best. So, other comments, Mr. Mano? I'll get to you.
Mr. Chairman, congratulations are in order for Pepe Aragon. Pepe has been the head soccer coach for the HCC Generals since 1998. Was recently named the National Coach of the Year by the National Soccer Coaches Association of America. Aragon was also named coach of the National Junior College Athletic Association tournament and was recently named the 2011 Region 3 Mountain Valley Conference and District A Coach of the Year. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Pepe. If anybody knows Pepe, there's no more a gentleman on this earth than Pepe Aragon. He shows class, poise, and great character, great guy. So if you have a chance to meet Pepe, by all means do. He's a great asset to our college and our community. So, sir. Mr. Hartman.
I agree with your comments on Mr. Aragon. Just two real quick points. I believe the HM Quackenbush water thing is not totally resolved. There's still issues involving some other entity kind of connected to the county. The $300,000 or $600,000, I think that's something the county should do for all municipalities, and I fought against the 1% takeover in the first place. If we're able to do it, just give Herkimer 20 grand and everybody's going to benefit from it. I say go for it, jail or no jail. And I just want to point out there's one development that was vacant for a long time in Herkimer that the village gets $300,000 a year. I think some of these figures look big, and so you think of what could happen if something goes to develop a vacant development.
Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, let's see, how do I say this and not have it be a question? I would appreciate having a copy of the various proposals that you articulated. I'm not sure I captured them all right. I would assume that they were given in writing. And I would like to look at those and contrast it to the initial proposal of the $1 million sewer or whatever. And if that's in the file, it would be great to have it shown.
I will send this out to everyone tomorrow morning.
Appreciate
okay?
that.
I want to make one other comment on that. We did make an original offer of $400,000 way back, and then it was bumped to $800,000 a cash deal for the village. All prior to this, and probably what, 2 years ago, Mr. Wallace, I'm guessing, maybe longer.
I think it was longer.
Longer than that. Yeah, it flies by. So $800,000 was offered initially way back. So, and who else? I'll let you finish. No, I'll let you finish this.
Okay. I want to visit an issue as far as country manor is concerned. At the Public Human Resource Committee meeting, comments, and I have been asking, and I know that Mr. Hartman has asked also, that we consider an RFP process in order to be certain that Herkimer County is getting what it should get, and that the citizens that reside in Country Manor are appropriately cared for, and from my perspective also future needs of our community are also very important. I believe, Mr. Chairman, your comment was, when does it stop? We've done it before, and I asked for a copy. I appreciate your support. Am I getting a copy of that RFP? It's 2004 is when it was done, August of 2004. The horizon for Herkimer County has changed dramatically since then. Vendors and not-for-profits in the area probably have changed dramatically since then, and I do think that we should be doing an RFP. As I read that agreement that went out in 2004, and of course it was an attempt, and I think Mr. Wallace has said it, and I believe it, an attempt to certainly protect the people that live there. I believe that's necessary, but I also am concerned that we have future capacity within our communities being run by not-for-profits. I don't have a problem with that being the case. But the concern I have is that from 2004, we would never use the justification that we're going to buy our eggs from the same place and milk from the same place that we did business with in 2004. We find out what the market will bear. And I believe that is something that it would be wise for us to do. The first proposal that was considered, that came before this, actually didn't come before the legislature for us to really review it, there was conversation about it. But we learned, subsequent to that, that the proposal that would have in some ways mirrored the original Valley Health proposal, that we can't gift county property. So what that meant to me was somebody stepped forward with a proposal, and Mr. Malone, Mr. Wallace, have been negotiating with that individual or company or whoever it is, and perhaps with others that have come forward, to say your proposal's not good enough, it needs to be tweaked, we need to change because we can't gift the land in any fashion. And that makes me wonder, the other night at the Human Resource Committee meeting, a great deal of conversation went on with what's fair. With vendors that may come, that sent us proposals, that it wouldn't be fair to do an RFP because they've already sent in their information. Well, we know, to some degree, what was sent in has been modified through negotiations. So I still strongly believe that we would be on much firmer ground if we did an RFP and we don't get the rug pulled out of us, from under us, because there's been some part of the law that has been overlooked perhaps or misinterpreted. And I suggest, Mr. Chairman, that we have a better understanding on the proposals and not wait until somebody brings forward a single proposal. I would like to understand what that will be. I don't think it was clear during the Human Resource Committee what that process would be. But people are interested now, the people that live there, the people that work there, people who have had people live there, and I hope that we can be more open in this process. Thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Schrader.
Mr. Chairman, last week we spoke on, actually I spoke very precisely on informing the residents and the workers of the country matter. I was assured that it was being taken care of, it was being addressed as we speak. I was driving past there this afternoon and I took time to spend 2 hours there, okay? 2 hours, okay? Speaking with staff, speaking with residents. They claim that there has not been any talk, any communication. There's some very upset people up there. In my learning of some of the other legislators have made the comment, some of those people aren't even Herkimer County residents. There's 31 present people up there at this current time. 29 of them are long, lifetime residents of Herkimer County. Okay? I think us, okay? And I asked of all the legislatures here, not just myself, because I made a comment saying it was in my district. I was told by another legislature, they're all our people. You know what? Let's all step up to the plate and keep them informed. Because that could be your father, Chairman, that could be your father, Mr. Wallace, and it could be any other parents of any of us here.
My father passed away, and our family took care of it.
Okay, and you know what, Mr. Wallace?
That's pretty personal, right?
Right. No,
I think you're totally out of line.
But what I'm saying, Mr. Wallace, is it could be anybody's.
I think you're totally out of line.
You're out of line.
No,
that's a personal attack.
No, it wasn't. I said,
Mr. Wallace, I'm not going to take it.
No, it wasn't, Mr. Wallace. I said it could be anybody else's parents here.
You said Jim Wallace.
No, I said anybody. I said,
Let's
Mr.
keep
Photo.
the decorum. Okay.
I said, Mr. Chairman, what I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, all I'm saying, and Jim, if I offended you, I apologize to the full extent. I did not mean to offend you in any manner. I said it could be anybody's parents up there. Would you like your father, or any of our fathers, or our mothers?
Don't go there
okay?
again.
No, that's
don't
what
go
I'm
there.
saying. Would you like that if you weren't informed?
Please refrain from.
No, but
Move
what
on.
I'm saying,
Move
would
on.
you like that?
Point taken, move on.
Point taken. My point is, okay, we have some of these workers up there for 20-some years. Okay, don't you think that
They know. Mr.
they-
Schrader, prior to your being elected, they were told.
They were told, you know what I was
Same
told, Mr.
employees.
Chairman? Mr. Chairman, I was told that it was back in 2009 they were informed.
They know.
They know, so that's informed?
Yes, they know that it's a potential that...
Once you feel...
Mr. Schrader, come on.
Mr. Chairman, what I'm saying is, you know what, we're playing with people's lives here.
We know that. They know that, and we made that clear with them. We made that evident that we were concerned with the residents, and we were concerned with the employees. I even said that in the newspaper. They picked you up on saying that.
Yeah,
okay?
But exactly
no
what I'm saying. No,
I know.
Concerned. But I want to know that we're keeping
this is
up
becoming a
to date,
debate.
Mr. Chairman. I want to know that they're up to date on this status.
Make your comments. This is not going to be a debate. Mr. Brzezinski.
Mr. Chairman, the meeting night that Gary, I think, was referring to, the person that asked that question was myself of Dr. Murray in regards to what was happening up there. And at that time, I believe she said that there was nothing going on at this time, but they were looking for ideas. So I think that was the meeting. Am I right or am I wrong, Gary?
Right.
They were looking for ideas. Thank you.
Any more comments? Mr.
No more business, and move to be adjourned to May 16th at 7:30 p.m. for our next meeting.
Motion adjourned, please. Mr. Wakely, second by Mr. Hendricks. Mr. Manine. In favor?
Aye.